Seem like some people are always stuck in a messy life while other people, go with the flow, happy-go-lucky, carefree. Why is it that some people seem to be plagued with darkness? And if that's you, how can you get rid of it? Well, let's talk about this today. We're going to have a great time, believe it or not. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. My name is Elizabeth Spraggins, and I am the founder of All Joy Inspired. I'm also the owner of Digging from Darkness, Living in Light, which is a mastermind group of business owners who recommit to the community by sharing their expertise and their encouragement with those who are still finding their way in whatever path that may be. Today is October. I almost said August. Today is October 21st, 2023, and it is Saturday night in Las Vegas, Nevada, and in many other places around the world, it's Saturday night. Woo! Okay, I'm a little excited. It is the night before my wedding anniversary with my wonderful groom. Honey, if you're out there and you're listening, and I hope you are, it has been a wonderful 7 years, and I am very fortunate and very blessed to have you in my life. I love you very much, and I look forward to the future and whatever that holds. Today's subject is going to be a bit of a gnarly one. It's got some teeth. And some of you out there might get some hurt feelings. I hope not, but hey, that's on you. That is on you. Today's subject is going to be light up your darkness. It is called Light Up Your Darkness, and we are talking to those of you out there who seem to be living in a perpetual state of what the hell? What? Why? No matter what I try, no matter what I do, my life always seems so messed up. I've tried so many different things. I've moved, I've changed relationships, I've changed jobs, I've changed my hair, I've changed my body, I've changed everything about myself, and my life still seems empty. It still seems really hard. I feel so lonely. Everyone seems to just look right by me or look through me, or people seem to use me. Everyone I talk to wants to use me as a resource, as a doormat, right? So for those of you who are stuck in a perpetual state of darkness, and I mean darkness, things in your life are just not making you happy. Or you're just kind of numb. You're numb to the life around you. You're numb to the people around you. You might have a wonderful environment of people who love you very much, but in your heart, you feel nothing. You feel disconnected. You feel almost like you have nothing in common with all of these, people who think the world of you. My husband fed me a snack before the show started. So for those of you out there, my husband is, he works not too far from here, just a couple of miles. So every day when he leaves work, he comes to the office to say hello, give me a hug and a kiss, and we talk for a few minutes. So he came to the office before the show today to bring me a little bit of something to eat. So my blood sugar wouldn't crash, because he knows how awful that is for me when I'm talking to you. And I really do enjoy talking to you. Like, this is the highlight of my week, is doing this show. And I work on it really hard. I do research, and I read my Bible, which is awesome, by the way. There's going to be some of that today too. Ooh, we're going to get into it. ADD is a real thing, by the way. So back to the subject. We're going to talk about those of you who are living under this veil, almost like there's a weight on top of your shoulders. And you have goodness in your heart, and you think, I live as a good person. I'm good to people, but I feel nothing for this world around me. I know that I'm meant for something more. I know I'm meant to do great things. I have no idea. I have no idea where to start. I have no idea what to do. Everybody in the world right now seems to want something. Everybody's got an angle, right? Everybody wants to sell me something. Everybody wants to convince me that what it is that they have to offer is something I absolutely need, even though I probably don't. Are you sick to death of new people contacting you just to try to sell you something? I almost don't even answer my phone anymore. People call me all the time from all over the world, but the majority of the phone calls I get are from salespeople, from telemarketers, and people trying to push whatever it is that they're selling on me. Now, I get it. I get it. Those of you out there who do this for a living, God bless you. God bless you. It is not an easy job. I can't imagine. But I'm going to say 90% of you out there doing these cold calls, you could use a little bit of training. You could use a little bit of training. Do some research into who you're calling. Or just ask questions so you don't waste your time and the person on the other end of the line. But I don't answer my phone anymore. Almost never, unless it's someone in my family. Whoa. And I get so many text messages now, I almost don't answer those either. So when I started making changes, I mean like super changes in my life, I had this feeling of being very disconnected from everything around me, everyone around me, because I spent so long living life one way that I had to spend a period of time trying to figure out who I was. I had spent so long distancing myself from people, or people ostracizing me. Are you out there? Are you living a life in isolation of one kind or another because something happened in your life and you feel like everyone hates you because of it? Right? It's really easy to feel like people hate you. It's so easy. If you feel ashamed or guilty about something that you've done in your life, and if someone has used that as a weapon against you to manipulate you, it is really, really easy to think other people will hate you as well, right? Yes. I'm talking to all of you out there who have guilt about having an affair. All of you out there who have guilt about having a porn addiction. Call the kettle black. Say pot meat kettle, right? If you're out there and you are navigating your path to sobriety and you have acted in a way in the grips of your addiction that you really wish never happened, and you feel like people hate you, especially people you love, right? Or if somebody abused you and convinced you it was your fault. Men and women get abused, whether it be physical, emotional, or sexual. Yes, men get abused too. So men and women are a part of this conversation. If you have been the survivor of an abusive relationship, or if you're still in one, are you convinced that other people who you haven't met yet feel the same way about you that your abuser does, right? There are a lot of ways to be stuck in darkness for different reasons. You're stuck in darkness. And I'm here to tell you that in the darkness that we live in, we often keep ourselves there because in the darkness, we hand control of ourselves over to what it is that is crushing us. Oh, I told you you weren't going to like me today. Oh, I told you weren't going to like me today. You know, sometimes it's really important for a coach or a life skills encouragement consultant. I do coaching, but there are others out there who don't coach. They do consulting, totally different thing. It's important sometimes for coaches to bring up hard truths in a language that you understand or a language that you can relate to, so you can determine whether or not an adjustment to your path might be helpful for you, right? Now, often when we're living in the dark, we get used to it. We adapt to it. We get along with it. We hate it. We choose habits that help us to cope with it. Yeah, we definitely do. But when we choose to stay in the darkness, when we choose to stay in that awful heavy weight that is on our shoulders, it's because we surrender control of our futures, of our today, to what in the past has crushed us and our ability to think that anything will ever be different, right? It's true. It is true. the darkness, and we surrender control to it. And then we like to blame that crushing weight. We like to blame that outside influence for our own defeat. When we are under the influence of an outside influence of an outside entity, and we say, well, this is what's happening in my life. I'm screwed. I might as well just live with it, right? Yeah. But then we like to use that as the reason we're not going anywhere in our lives. We like to use that for the reason that we choose to adopt behaviors which make life worse for us or keep us from moving beyond that outside situation. That's what I mean by surrendering control to it. We use it as an excuse to stay where we are and adapt with habits that are self-destructive. Yes. In the darkness, we can lie to ourselves. We can lie to ourselves about what we see in the mirror. Oh yeah. Yeah. We're liars. We as people are liars. We might not be lying to other people, but we lie to ourselves. When we adapt to a bad situation, when we adapt to an abusive situation, when we're lost, and we lie to ourselves about why we're lost, or why we're not doing what we feel we want to be doing in our lives. We lie to ourselves. And in the darkness, under that crushing outside influence, we can use that as an excuse to not make life better for ourselves. The thing about the darkness, though, the reason you don't want to stay there is because darkness likes to breed other things. When you are in the dark, you can't see. And when you can't see, you don't have awareness of other crushing entities that want to come out of the corners and play with the darkness that has you stuck in the first place. Darkness breeds suffering. Wow, I told you today was going to be awesome, but we are moving forward. Lots of love, y'all. Lots of love. Oh, did I do this one already? Oh, I totally did. Okay. Woo. The choices that we make can often affect our quality of life. They can always make life seem a lot harder than it has to be. This can affect our relationships. It can affect our health. It can affect our freedom. It can affect our lives. But most of all, it can affect our souls. Yo, I swear to you, there is a happy ending to this. There is a happy ending to this story. And we go through the what, the how, the why, and then what to do about it. I go through this whole thing because if you're out there and you kind of have your ears half cocked to this show, don't get ignorant. But if you have your ears half open to what I'm saying, by the time we get to the solution, I want you popped up in your chair, I want your eyes wide open, and I want you listening. I am here to reach you. I am here to reach through this camera and shake you and say, you out there, you, yes, you. If you're having a rotten time in life, you're not alone. Oh my goodness, you're not alone. You don't have to suffer. You don't have to go through life wondering what it all means. You don't have to go through life feeling like nobody loves you. You're not alone. You're not stuck. You are not doomed. I'm trying to get this message through to you. So please bear with me because I got a lot more talking at you to do, right? So we were talking about the darkness. It likes to breed suffering. It likes to gestate brothers and sisters for that monster that's holding you in a rotten place in life, right? It does. So giving up control, even if it causes suffering, which is what we do when we get used to being in a bad situation, or we get used to living life in a way that's not good for us, and we choose to stay there. It breeds, it breeds and it feeds brothers and sisters of that monster that's holding you down. For instance, when we adapt to a rotten situation, such as we get greedy. You ever get greedy? Do you find yourself making money in a way which is killing you inside? which is making you feel awful about yourself as a person. But you keep doing it because the money that you're making is making people around you happy, or it's taking care of people who can't take care of themselves, right? That's just one. That is just one. Staying in a job that eats your soul or makes you feel like a bad person. Well, another one is loneliness. If someone broke your heart, if somebody abused you and ended that relationship, and you're too afraid to go out and meet new people because you're convinced that the abuser was right, and they spend so much time and so much effort telling you why you were not worthy of being treated right so they could get away with how they were doing you wrong. And now it's in your head that everyone else is going to feel that way too. So you're afraid to go out and meet new people. So you've just convinced yourself, I'm just going to be alone. I'm just going to learn to live alone, even though you're lonely and you really want to share your life with someone, right? Or lust. Yep, I'm talking to you horn dogs out there. Coming from me, right? Coming from me, formerly known as, we won't have to do that, but formerly known as, yeah, I did what I did. So pot, meat, kettle, kettle, meat, pot. Yeah. Yep, I'm saying lust. The number one reason. Woo! I'm just going to tell it to you like it is out there, guys and girls. Gals, right? Because I'm talking to adults, hopefully. Hopefully. The number one reason I believe there has been a decline in relationships between men and women is because men and women don't believe they need one another. I said it. Men and women don't believe they need each other anymore. So what happens when natural hormones or natural biological events happen and a man or a woman feels like they want a partner, but they've convinced themselves that they don't need a partner? So what is the solution to that? You know what I'm putting down. You're hearing me. You're hearing me. So when a man or a woman, they don't need a partner in order to resolve that biological urge, they weaken their desire to find a partner or to keep a partner. Yes, yes. Self-satisfaction, especially excessive self-satisfaction, will destroy your ability to have a loving, committed, focused relationship with someone. Yep, there's more. There's so more. Addiction. We got addiction. Addiction will definitely have you feeling like you don't have any answers. Like there's an outside influence that's in control of you. I mean, that to me is the easiest one to help make sense for you, is addiction. When your body is physically dependent on something because you've abused something, that stopping causes you pain. So you figure, what the hell? I might as well just stay. I might as well just stay in this habit. I'll just adapt and get used to it and create new behaviors that make it more comfortable for me. So you're allowing that outside influence to breed other monsters for you. And then laziness. Laziness comes in all forms. Laziness means checking out. Checking out of life around you. You're in a situation you really don't want to be a part of, so you mentally check out, right? You're sitting in your house with somebody you can't stand because rather than work on your relationship or finding a way to resolve what is wrong between the two of you, or leaving, you sit in your house, you turn on the television, and that is your entire day together. Do you know somebody like that? Do you know somebody who checks out of life whenever you're home? Or is always on their phone when you're trying to talk to them? Do you know somebody like that? That's a form of laziness. That's a form of sloth in your head. is just checking out and ignoring someone trying to communicate with you or someone having a conflict that could be resolved. Checking out. It's awful. What do these things breed? What do they breed? Well, I'm going to tell you, greed fuels desperation. When you live a lifestyle of being greedy, eventually what that greed accomplishes is not going to be enough. Yes. When you operate in a life of greed because the money you're making or the things you're acquiring somehow make you feel like a good person, eventually it's not going to be enough. You're going to need to escalate the reward of that behavior. And it's the same thing with loneliness. It's the same thing with loneliness. You find new and better ways to create an environment which makes you feel worse about being alone. I'm not mincing words with you guys today. You need to hear this. You need to hear that your adaptations to a rotten situation always make your life worse in one way or another. Lust. Oh yeah. There are people out there. There's a podcast that I guest starred on just a little while ago. It's called Beyond Broken Vows. They're really good people. They talk about men and women whose marriages have survived sex addiction. And that includes pornographic addiction. It includes having physical affairs with people. So that's a really good show. If that's something you're struggling with, they're on YouTube. You guys go ahead and check them out. Really good people. They're my friends. So if you've got an appetite for lust, and by lust I mean committing a sexual arousal or a sexual activity with someone not your spouse, or beyond having a partner, I don't care who your partner is, if you have a partner or if there's someone to choose. But if you're just kind of throwing that sexual energy out in the world, I know, pot, meet, kettle, meet, pot. I know. I understand how ludicrous it sounds for me to be saying this. I get it. We're moving on now, okay? But if you are committing these acts of sharing your sexual arousal or your sexual satisfaction beyond a committed partner, you're weakening the value of that bond between someone who could really be special to you. There's more about this. We're not going to go deep into that today. But when you do that, you eventually need more and more advanced ways to satisfy that arousal you're throwing out in the world, because you're missing that element of it being special with someone. So you need more and more advanced, more and more severe ways to become aroused and excited and satisfied, right? So you hear about women that use toys, you hear about men that use toys, you hear about people that watch movies, right? Eventually that movie's going to get boring, or that toy is going to get boring, and they're going to need something a step further. So lust breeds abandonment of the necessity to have a partner. Yeah, I totally jacked that up. That's my bad. Addiction fuels helplessness. Helplessness. I know a lot of people who have navigated and managed successfully their addictions, right? Some people feel they've beaten their addiction because they did the heavy work that it required to get to the root of the issue for them. And once they were able to resolve that root issue, the addiction was no longer a concern for them. But many people, when they manage successfully addiction, it's always going to be a voice in the back of their head. But as they're falling from having a good time with the source of their addiction to their life being totally destroyed by it, and they're now in an inescapable prison of that control of that addiction, they feel helpless. And the more they try to live with it, the worse their life gets. And the less and less hope they have that life can ever be different for them. Woo! Okay, I want you to think to yourself, if this is something that you guys are experiencing in any way out there, I know we touched on like a whole bunch of stuff. That's what ADD brain is. Welcome to the party. welcome to the party. But if you're going through any one of these things, if you're going through any one of these adaptations to an outside influence, putting you in a crappy place in life, and you are fueling the monsters that develop as a result of surrendering that control, I want you to think about this for a second. What was the very first moment you allowed this to happen? You're having a good life, you're feeling a good life, and then you made a decision that this was something you were going to live with. When was that? I want you to think about it for a second. There's always a defining moment in which you decide, F it, just to heck with it. This is going to happen whether I like it or not. I'm just going to learn to live with it. Think about that moment. That is the moment that you go back to. That is the moment that you learn from to defeat this outside influence and evict it from your life, right? That is the moment you choose to give up self-control. Oh, snap, we are moving fast. It's Saturday night. I'm going to go home and put on a dress, cute dress for my husband. We're going to go out to dinner, I hope. I don't know. He says it's a surprise. Okay, we are going to pay some bills, because I got to bring in some money to help the public. Inspire some laughter and love for someone special in your life with a fun gift from our store. Many different kinds of things to choose from for all kinds of people in all stages of life. All Joy Inspired. We're here for you. Do you ever feel like you're at war with yourself? Do you ever feel like you're having a constant argument about what it is that you should do or what you really want to do and why you can't? Well, that's because there is a battle for your soul. There is a battle for your heavenly ever after life. Let's talk about this. Yeah, I sure did. I'm sneaking the bejeebus into you all. I'm sneaking Jesus into the broadcast. I'm going to make this a universal love, so those of you who call your higher power by a different name can still relate to this, but there are going to be some serious references to a higher power up in this space. So when I say there's a battle for your soul, half of you out there already know it. You already know it. You call it, before that awareness, you call it an internal conflict, right? When you're having an argument with yourself, when there's something you really don't want to do, that's called a battle. That's a spiritual battle. Now, there are people of all different faiths who believe in all different walks of how life goes and how to be good in life and how to be good to people. I myself have a wonderfully loving and warm belief in Jesus Christ. You might call God by a different name. Okay. I'm not here to argue with your faith. I'm not here to convert you. I'm not. I love all of you. I do. But if you have an internal battle, you having a conflict that is keeping you up at night because that surrender that you gave over to that influence, which is now breeding other areas of suffering, which is keeping you stuck in this awful place. It's a battle. You are at war inside. You know, the good and evil on your shoulders are at war. Some people consider it heaven and hell that are fighting for you because you have so much power in your heart. You have so much capability to do such amazing things in this world. They each want you. Ooh, and they are going to go toe to toe to try to get you for themselves. Think about that. Think about that. It's kind of an ego boost, really. I mean, pride is bad, ego is bad. But if you're feeling pretty crappy about yourself and you feel like you're at war, think about how valuable you must be to one side or the other for them both to be going at it inside of your conscience or your spirit or your heart. How badly do dark forces want you? And how badly do the forces of good want you? If that fight inside of you is that hard, if your life is that much of a struggle, you want to know why? I'm going to tell you why. Here's where the good stuff starts to come in. Here's where the feel-good part comes in. Because the powers of good or Jesus Christ, or the light versus the darkness, or the truth versus the lies, by whatever name you call the two sides of an internal moral conflict, or just an internal conflict. There's a good side, there's a bad side. The good side must really know you're capable of doing magnificent things, of accomplishing unimaginable feats of good in the world. If they haven't allowed you to completely fall. And by completely fall, I mean life is over. That's it. You don't have another breath in you, you're done, right? But if that's not the case, if you're still kicking, even if you're kicking in the dirt, and you are nailing these things, you are telling the darkness in your life, I'm going to beat you one day. I'm going to beat you one day because I am a good person and I haven't figured out how to get past this yet, but I'm going to. And when I do, you better hope I don't come running for you, because I've got a mean sized 9 foot and I'm just going to shove it right up your bad attitude. I'm trying to be a better person these days. But there's value in that, in the size of your struggle. So if you are struggling with something that is particularly hard, if you are fiercely burdened by something in your life, there's a reason you're suffering. There's a reason that the dark doesn't want to let you go. The dark is threatened by you. They are threatened by the light, by the truth, by happiness, by joy. The forces of darkness, your yin, your yang, your lies, your heaven, your hell, whatever it is that you believe in. But that nasty energy, it is threatened by that light. It is threatened by you figuring things out. It is threatened by you finding happiness and love and joy and peace. See, what the darkness does is it keeps you frantic. Sound familiar? The darkness likes to keep you angry. It does. It likes you to be pissed off. Because when you're angry with people, you're not thinking straight. You know what? I'm not even going to argue with you. I'm not going to argue with you. I can tell you as a champion debater that the second someone loses their temper, I know I've won. And I deal with people every day on the internet who like to become angry with me for one reason or another. I don't know. It's not my burden to bear. But the second they start getting angry, they've already lost because they're not thinking straight. So, the darkness likes to keep you confused. Sounding familiar? When you've got ideas that you previously thought, oh, that's not good. That's wrong. But then you convince yourself that it's okay to walk down that path, even though it doesn't feel quite right. The darkness likes to confuse you. It likes to confuse you and draw you away from what you know to be right, from what you know to be good. And when it draws you away from the light and the goodness in the world and the goodness, from above that you believe in by what name you believe in, the darkness likes to get you stuck, right? It likes to get you stuck. And it likes you to stay stuck, and it likes you to adapt. Because if you were to break free of this darkness, you're going to find this light. And what happens when you shine the light on someone in the darkness, right? What happens? The more light you find, the harder the darkness will fight to stay a part of you. I tell people all the time, I say, when you feel fear or anxiety as you're making changes in life, those are your bad habits or your previous lifestyle fighting for survival. So for the purposes of this conversation, when you begin to receive the light of truth or the light of love or the light of peace in your heart by whatever means that you find it, the darkness is going to get angry. It doesn't want to lose you. See, when you are stuck in darkness, you're going to invite other people to join you who might not normally be in that darkness yet. You find companions. You find camaraderie. You make neighbors. You have friends in the darkness. And that that makes this darkness strong. It makes it a forceful being. But when you prepare to depart, it's like, hey, no, don't go. I've got this other awesome thing you probably shouldn't be doing, but it'll be fun for a while, right? Yeah. Woo, it creeps all around you. Darkness is going to creep all around you. It's going to try to attack your family and your friends. It might sneak up into your job or into your health. It might cause you to do dumb things that get you into trouble with the law. There are all kinds of darkness. And when you start to have thoughts about you don't want to be a part of that anymore, darkness gets mad. The lies that you're believing get upset, and they're going to work harder to try to convince you that you should stay where you are. For people who are finding their way to Christ, when you start thinking about, well, I kind of just want to know what all this is about. I'm just going to go on the internet and I'm just going to look at a few Christian memes, right? I'm just going to, listen to maybe that new Christian hip hop song that came out because it sounded pretty cool. Even when you're just thinking about it, you're going to start feeling that dark energy. You're going to start feeling the demons and the devil attack you. They don't want you to go. They don't even want you tiptoeing your foot in the water to see how warm the temperature is. They want to yank you back out of that pool area and keep you high and dry in the flames of hell. That's where they want you. They are threatened. Okay, you guys, we are going so fast today. We're almost done. Holy crap. So great. Okay, here we are. Woo! When we leave the dark, when we want to leave the dark, we enter something called the gray. We walk in the gray, and sometimes we can flip-flop back and forth, and we wonder, where is this light? Where is the light that we want so badly in our hearts? Well, here we're going to tell you today. Woo-hoo-hoo! Woo! There it is. We're going to scroll it on the bottom. Oh, am I doing this right? I can't see. I'm almost legally blind. And I have this big ass screen right in front of me, so I should be able to see this. I'm just kind of winging it. Right there at the bottom. I think I see it. Right there. Yep. Okay. So, John 14:6. Now, I am super new. I am barely 2 weeks-ish. Yeah, okay. Almost 3 weeks outside of just figuring it out, right? But I got so excited. I got so oh my gosh, this is the most amazing thing ever. I want to tell everybody. And then I learned we're supposed to tell everybody. I'm not supposed to force it on you, but I am supposed to sing it as loud as my happy butt can sing it with hopes to reach somebody out there who's feeling a little curious. Because I remember at one point when I started seeing things that didn't quite add up, or I started seeing things that kind of twitched my nerve a little bit. I'm like, oh, that's not right. Oh, that's not good. Why are people doing that? Ooh. That didn't make sense to me. And then I started seeing a rapid decline in behaviors, and I'm like, oh, that's definitely not good. And then I start feeling pretty heavy in my chest. I start feeling a weight on my shoulders because I was a part of that equation. So I started looking for sources to feel good again. And yeah, you better bet your happy tail that's when the darkness and that's when the negative forces, the negative energies, and the habits and the lifestyle started fighting for survival. They started fighting hardcore. I started getting attacked by friends, colleagues. They started attacking me, not physically, because I'll whoop somebody's ass. I'm not afraid of getting somebody throwing hands. They started attacking me socially. They started attacking me professionally, and this might happen to you too. If you are in a situation in your home life, in your work life, in your social life, where people are living a way which you had adapted to living, and all of a sudden you're starting to have thoughts that maybe that's not something you want anymore, you're going to get attacked. They're going to fight for survival of being a part of your life. And another reason you get attacked when you even think about making changes is because you having these thoughts and you having this need to know something new, to know something different, that might contradict with what you're doing right now. It reminds them that not everyone is okay with how they're living. But why would that be such a problem? Why would somebody else care that you might want to start looking into some new stuff? Because if you start looking into new stuff and you find a new way to be happy without that self-destructive habit, it means that that new thing that can make their life better for them is something they're not choosing. And that means that the condition of their life is their fault, right? Now, in the world today, there are a lot of people out there. There are a lot of people out there who make it a lifestyle to blame other people for what is going wrong in their life, right? They want to push their adaptations to a negative influence on other people. They want to other people to agree that how they adapt to that negative force is a good thing. There are a lot of things happening today which are not good things. There are a lot of activisms around the world that are not about good causes. And these people think that the louder they scream at you for believing differently, the more they can convince you. When in reality, them screaming and them attacking you is because they are hearing whispers that maybe you're right. Did you ever think about that? When someone gets angry or enraged, almost to a point of being psychotic with anger about something, it is easier for them to feel rage than it is to be curious about whether or not you might be right. Now, I get a lot of this. I get a lot of this every day. For the most part, I cleanse my circles. I cleanse my world of people who just want to be abusive because we don't play that, right? I'm not somebody who's going to be a doormat for somebody. I give people a chance to, have a conversation in spite of their anger. But when they make it clear they're not going to do that, okay, cool. I'd rather talk to somebody else. I deal with people who are angry with me every day. I found this incredibly beautiful joy in my life. I came from a place that was so dark and it was so deep in sadness and in shame and in emptiness and in desperation and greed and lust. I came from a place that was so awful. I didn't even realize how awful of a place in life I was until I was out of it. Have you ever done that? Have you ever been in a situation where you thought all right, maybe this is kind of crappy. Maybe this isn't this is pretty bad. But then when life got way more awesome for you, you look back and you're thinking, holy cow, how did I survive that? Right? Yeah. So when I share my joy with people and I share this amazing thing, this amazing knowledge, this amazing belief that I found in Jesus Christ, and they get mad. And I don't understand sometimes. I mean, I do understand, but I don't understand that person and what is happening in their life that's making them so angry with me for sharing. I mean, nobody's forcing you to listen to me. Nobody's forcing you to come to my social media pages. Yeah, I get it. They used to share adult and explicit images, but not anymore. Not anymore. And in fact, I'm almost at that point right now where I'm severing the last connections to any of the royalties or the communications that have to do with that industry. I'm severing. It's going to take me a little bit longer because it's $1 million operation, but I'm shutting it down. And now these people are afraid that they're not going to have any place to talk to me and receive that attention. Sorry for you. It's not part of my life anymore. I'm just going to have to find somebody else who appreciate in that erotic way. But these people, they get angry with me. And that might happen to you. It might happen to you when you start looking into new influences to bring joy into your life, to bring happiness into your life. You're going to receive those attacks from those negative influences because they're fighting for survival, right? So we're moving on. There are, where do we find the light of the truth? Where do we find it? And by truth, I mean the happiness and the joy and the energy and the motivation and the companionship to leave that awful place in your life, whether it be to change an attitude you have, to change a belief that is keeping you down, to change a relationship, to change a job, to change whatever it may be that is the cause of your darkness, in order to resolve that darkness, if not just outright evict it. Where do we find the truth that you need in order to begin that process, right? Well, there are a few stages of moving from that place of a living hell, right? I'm just going to call it what I know it to be. It is hell on earth. To living in the light of the love that you were meant to have as a person, by whatever means that you call it. Some of us spend our whole lives in this pit of darkness because we grew up with a sadness in our hearts, or something really bad happened to us as young adults or adults, and we're stuck in this feeling of pain. There's that. And then there is this life of love and peace, and things don't bother you anymore. There's a lot of really scary things happening in the world today. A lot of scary things. Now, I consider myself well informed. I'm a history buff. So I understand world events a little differently because I see a big picture. I used to be obsessed with staying up to the minute on multiple sources, many sources of information to get what is happening into my head, so I would not be surprised by it. I was obsessed because I didn't want to be surprised. Did you ever get obsessed with something? Say, obsessed with cleaning, obsessed with the way you do your hair, or obsessed with keeping your car clean? An obsession is a mask for fear. It's a mask for fear. So that was keeping me from seeing this light. 1 second. We're going to need this today. We're going to need this today. I love this thing. I swear, this is like I don't know, it's kind of like a newborn baby for me. My newborn spirit is on the cover of this. So every morning I wake up, I hug this newborn baby Elizabeth, right? This newborn in the love of Christ. I love it. I love it. I love it. Whenever I touch this thing, it makes me happy because this is where my profound joy came from. I'm just like, oh, I'd be devastated if I ever lost this. But what I'm talking about is that fear that I had of world events. And I would spend a lot of my time keeping an eye on it because I was afraid of things that were happening in the world. I was afraid of not knowing why people were acting so insane. And that sounds judgmental. It does. It is judgmental to say that half the world is acting insane. I think half the world is acting blind. They're blind. They don't understand. There are a lot of people that are protesting right now about the latest thing, and I'm not gonna, because these censors, they like to cram dry football cleats up somebody's butt sideways. So I'm not gonna mention it, but you all know what I'm talking about. The latest thing, and there are cities being overrun with these protests. These people have no MFing idea who they're cheering for. No clue. If you have looked into history at all, you will see why that is insane. Insane. And no amount of justifying what is happening today will make it any less insane what these people are cheering for, what they're protesting. They're lost. They are uninformed. They're angry. They don't understand, right? So when I was afraid of world events, I would stay up to the minute on what was happening. And I had this feeling of constant tension in my heart, constant fear. What does it all mean? Are we all going to die? Are they going to destroy the country? And I don't just mean bit by bit like what's been happening. Are they going to destroy the country? Are they going to launch, operations which are going to take us out? Like, is that it? Are we going to see the end of the United States in our lifetime? And this kept me up at night sometimes. It would interrupt my ability to get things done during the day. And it was bad. And the more I started looking into things happening around the world, the more I started seeing other things in life that were wrong, other things in my world that were wrong. If you're stuck in a dark place, it breeds other monsters of suffering until you're either defeated as a human being or you start looking for a way out, right? Something happens to people when they're in this dark place to start looking for answers, and then they start finding answers. So we call that walking in the gray. When you're walking in the gray, you've got 1 foot out of the basement, right? 1 foot out of the darkness. You're stepping in, you're still, still your backside, your behind is still covered in the darkness. No pun intended, okay? But you're starting to see light. You're starting to see answers. But you still have a shadow on you. It's not so awesome. You're still affected by some old habits. You're still affected by some obligations which have convinced you you're stuck. Or fear that has kept you trapped. You still got that shadow, but you're seeing all of this amazing things in front of you, and you want to know more. Well, the more you pull on that chain that's attached to your foot, keeping you part of that darkness, the harder it's going to yank you back until finally you get so sick of it, you break that chain. Now, you might be walking in the gray and you might not be sure how to break that chain that has kept you suffering in the darkness with accumulating means of suffering attacking you and your ability to be free and be happy and have peace in your heart. But I can tell you it is possible. It is possible. Now, by whatever name you call faith, I speak of the one I understand. So even if you have a curiosity in some, a faith that people speak about around you, and that brings you joy, I'm happy for you. I don't condemn you. I'm happy for people that find joy and peace in their lives. And I don't agree with extremism. I don't, in any form. I don't. We are all brothers and sisters. We are all children of a higher power. I call my higher power God. I call my higher power Jesus Christ. You might call it a different name, but we're all meant to be here. I don't hate you. I don't hate you. But I'm going to express my knowledge as I understand it. And I'm more than happy to invite people to the show to talk about other beliefs that are out there in the world. Because the purpose of this show is to reach people who are suffering. And if helping people resolve their suffering with something they understand is going to be effective, then I want to offer that to you. I want to offer that to the world. But today we're going to be talking about what I understand. And this is the Life Application Study Bible. I started reading this when I saw something so incredibly evil in this world. Now, I've seen death. I've actually seen death. I have been unconscious with total silent blackness around me with a tunnel of light pulling me upward. I have seen death. But death did not scare me. I had peace in that white light pulling me up. What scared me, what had me running, everything stopped in my life. Everything stopped was when I met and I saw true evil. I mean, there was no question in my mind that this was the personification of evil. And it affected me so much. It broke me as a human being. It snapped my rosy colored, sunglasses off that I thought that everything in the world was doable. Yeah, I kind of maybe thought God was a good story. I thought higher power, well, that's a nice fairy tale, right? But when I witnessed true evil, it scared me so much. It broke my soul. And at that second, I immediately knew that I did not want to be associated with whatever that was. And I ran to learn about how to get close with God. As I know him and have faith in Jesus Christ, I ran. What I saw was that bad. And I don't want to end on a negative note. So I'm just going to mention, you're probably all out there wondering if I'm freaking crazy. No. If you were to see what I saw, it would break your hearts as human beings and you would never be the same again. And for those of you out there who did investigative journalism or did research for journalists, or were just truth seekers, we are talking about the organization and the practice and purpose of harming children. That is what had me running to find a Bible I could understand. It broke my heart. It broke my heart. It broke my soul. And I said, I can't believe that this exists in the world, that there are people that do this for fun. I needed to know God at that point. I needed to know Jesus Christ in my heart at that point. It was so bad. I immediately knew I needed to be forgiven for my sins. Because if that sort of person, people, are living here on earth, what's waiting in hell when we die? Right? That was my logic. If they're here right now, how much worse is the evil going to be in hell? I didn't want to find out. So I started learning. I picked up this book. And it's the craziest thing. I'm telling you, I'm going to get so excited right now. It's the craziest thing. I started reading this. The day I opened it, because in the back of this book, it is, here we are. For those of you who are just curious about what book I was reading, it's got a thing in the back where it tells you each day what to read. The day I started reading it was September 5th. And on September 5th, I started reading at a place in the Bible that was the exact place I needed to read on that day. Because when I ran to God, trying to find out a way to save my soul, because what I saw was so bad. It was so bad. I don't like thinking about it. I know it exists, but I know I'm saved now. But the day I started reading it, the passage that was assigned for the day was short. It's a couple sentences. But then at the bottom of the page, it explained what I had just read. It explained it in a way that I understood in today's language. Super easy to read. I'm going to say like 8th, 9th grade level. No, you're not stupid if you need to read something that is that easy of a language in a book. I have attention deficit disorder. I also run 3 companies. So my attention span is like this. So I need something to be super easy to read. This is so easy to read and so easy to understand that day, I understood that everything was going to be okay. I can't explain it to you, but that day, I knew everything was going to be okay. The next day, when I read the next day's, couple of sentences and then the explanation at the bottom of the page, I started to feel a twilight of hope. I started to feel like not only is everything going to be okay, but I might have a place outside of that evil and the exponential evil that is waiting on the other side of life, right? And then the day after that, I learned why Jesus had to die. And then the day after that, I learned so much day after day after day. And I read this every day because it gives me hope. It gives me peace. And it explains in here what is happening around the world and why you don't have to be afraid. It sounds a little cryptic, I know. But for those of you out there, the passage that I shared today is John 14, verse 6. It's 2 sentences, right? We love it when homework assignments are short, right? It says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. Which means there aren't going to be any, lying scumbags up in earth who are just going to go up there and just rip the place apart. No. What that means is for people who believe in Christ, who want to go to heaven, Jesus Christ, and believing that he had to die in order for every man and woman to have a direct relationship with God. So when you understand what that means, and you understand why Jesus had to die, it wasn't just because his Father just says, this will look fancy and then people will believe in me. No. This story is so much more awesome than that. It is a powerful story of love. So what was happening is that on the earth, every man and woman had to get their communications from God, from a priest. So God only saw that priests and prophets were worthy of being talked to, right? But then these priests were human beings, and they were corruptible. And people on the earth, they were just a mess. They were not living right. And because they were supposed to get their guidance from the priests and prophets, God was like, you guys aren't doing a good job of this. If you got to do something, do it yourself, right? So he sent Jesus down to earth to show man that there was goodness. He showed them what God's love was about and how to be a good person, right? Because they tried it the old way didn't work, and the world was falling apart, doing all kinds of craziness. And God was like, all right, I don't want to have to destroy the earth again, so let's see if we can fix it. So he sent Jesus down to earth, and Jesus was in person a human being, so people could relate. See, it's just a person. Okay, cool. He's going to teach us some stuff. All right, cool. This is awesome. Yeah, I really love this. This guy's talking some truth. And then Jesus starts doing miracles and stuff. And they're like, whoa, so you're the Son of God? Okay, that's pretty neat. Okay, so we're going to be learning some stuff because these guys over here are sitting in these temples taking all of our money. They're not doing very much. So when Jesus did that and he came to earth to teach people about how to live in a way that God wanted them to, Jesus became a threat to all of the priests and prophets who were profiting off of the money of the people they were supposed to be guiding. So when they start learning that Jesus is preaching to people, they're like, oh, we can't have that. Even though they were both of the same faith in the world at that time. They both believed in the same thing, except the priests and prophets didn't believe that Jesus was the Son of God. They had to get rid of him. So they lied on people, but the reason Jesus had to die, even though he was the Son of God, he could have saved himself. The reason he had to die was because when Jesus accepted punishment for all of people's sins. So just imagine this, you, thousands of years later, you're doing some dirtbag stuff, right? And you're just sure you're doomed, you're going to hell for what you've done. But when you learn about why Jesus Christ had to die, it's going to blow your mind. I'm telling you, it's a happy day. It is a happy day. It is such a happy day. See, before Jesus died, the devil had one of our ears, right? The devil's in your ear. He's whispering to you, influencing you directly. But remember when I said before, man could only get communication from God through priests and prophets. So God decided to even the playing field in order to make man worthy of hearing directly from God. They had to be absolved of their sins. So knock it all out in one punch. Now it's trivializing it, but I'm saying things in a way which I hope people out there who don't get it can understand. He's just going to knock it all out, right? He's going to create a direct line from God to you because you got the devil in one ear and he's like, oh no, we can't be waiting on the priests and prophets to get their stuff together. So the devil doesn't take all of my kids away, right? So when Jesus accepted punishment for mankind, it wasn't just the people living right then and there. It's for all mankind, past, present, and future. For all of the people that believed that Jesus was the Son of God and that he died for our sins, which means he was taking the punishment into his body for everyone, right then and there, and for everybody who was to live in the future. If you believe in that and you understand it, then you repent of your sins and you're forgiven. Like, it's the most amazing thing. But the miracle that happened after Jesus died on the cross was that God sent the Holy Spirit down. The Holy Spirit was that direct line between man and woman and God. So you've got a direct line. You've got a voice of God in your heart with the Holy Spirit because Jesus Christ died. So no matter how much the devil, Satan, demons are whispering in your ear trying to get you to live wrong or to screw up your life, you've got the ability in your heart to talk to God. You couldn't do that before. And when I learned that's why Christ had to die, I was overwhelmed. I know, we're going way long today. But this is something I have been dying to tell people. I've been itching to tell people. Because the reason I didn't give my life to Christ, the reason I was living so crazy, kind of happy about it at some points, right? But the reason I didn't believe in heaven or hell or God or Jesus Christ and the sacrifice he made is because I didn't understand it. I didn't understand what it was all about. This makes it understandable. So if you're just curious, if you just want to know what all these goofballs out there, what bug crawled up their butt and why they're totally fine with life around them, even though there are cities filling up with people cheering for people who are murdering innocent people everywhere in the world, right? Okay, we don't want to point fingers, but you all know what I'm talking about. There's really bad stuff happening in the world, and you've got these goofballs on social media who are just as happy as good, go lucky, talking about their coffee and the Spirit of the Lord in their heart, and you're kind of like, what's your problem, buddy? This explains it. So, if you want to argue with me, I invite you to argue with me. I'm going to arm you with knowledge, right? I'm going to arm you with knowledge. I will invite you on my show, have a fair conversation with you, fair and mediated if you want, conversation with you. If you so strongly disagree with me and you would like to come on the show and debate me about this, I invite you to read the material I saw first. Ha ha. It's going to get you. It's going to get you. Start with September 5. September 5th is where I started. And let's have that conversation. All right, you guys. This is the truth, the way, and the life. The way, the truth, and the life, which means when Jesus Christ died on the cross, he made it possible for us to have that one-on-one connection with God. So that one-on-one connection could protect us from the devil in our ear. We're good, yo. We're good. We got God in our hearts. I'm going to go to the comments. Hopefully you guys are being nice to me because I've had enough of people being crappy to me for the day. Okay, where are we at? His last words on the cross are the most sad even pronounced. It is finished. Yes, it is finished, which means he has committed himself and his body and his spirit back up to heaven, to his Father, before he was buried and resurrected. But he meant that at that point, it was okay for the Holy Spirit to prepare to come down to create that one-on-one connection with God, that his life was now coming to an end. So the Holy Spirit could connect God. So now the people on earth now and forever would be protected from having that one-on-one influence from the devil because God evened the playing field. Yes. I prefer to believe in a more historical Jesus that absolutely didn't want to die, in which dead one is the most tragic of the world. Yeah, Yeah. Yeah, there are discussions that are had about this. A lot of loving and passionate discussions that are had about this. And as I grow to observe these discussions and to be a part of them, I will tell you that no, he didn't want to die. He didn't want to die, but he knew that he had to, or mankind was doomed. Because the devil is a powerful entity. And when the devil is in your ear, he's got a one-on-one connection with you. And if you only go to the temple once a week or twice a year to get God's word, you've got this thing in your ear every day. Mankind was doomed. Jesus knew because his Father told him that he had to die. So man could be forgiven of their sins and the Holy Spirit could connect each man, woman, and child with God. So mankind they were all going to hell unless Jesus died for us. It's crazy. It's a crazy, crazy explanation. Super effective though. Absolutely no clue. Hi, Alan. Alan's one of my buddies. Alan's a cool dude. I like you, Alan. You look obsessed with Jesus, so that's your mask. Sure. I'm not sure if I would consider it a mask. I don't wear a mask anymore. I used to. Every day of my life for 15 years was being an entertainer. I had to pretend to be someone I wasn't in order to make money. I had to do things that I wouldn't do in my private life in order to make money. That was my mask. I was playing a character as a way of life to make money. I took that mask off, took the hair extensions out, took out the giant implants. I'm a happy girl now. So no, I don't wear a mask, but thank you for your question. What's up? You're kind of in a mood again? Sorry, gang, not at 100% me yet. Chris, I adore you. I absolutely adore you as my brother in Christ. And I know that you're going through a lot right now. You're going through a lot, and you've been going through a lot. But I want you to consider that part of the show, that the harder your life tries to destroy you, the more the light wants you to see what you're capable of doing. When you come under attack by all of these awful things happening, whether it be your health or your job or your finances or your social, condition, that's that nastiness that is fighting for you not to understand what you're meant to be, what you're meant to do, how you're meant to enrich the world around you. I'd like to talk to you. Get a hold of me after the show. I love you, brother. If you meet a loner, no matter what they tell you, it's not because they enjoy solitude. It's because they've tried to blend into the world before and people continue to disappoint them. I totally agree with you. 100%. I'm still myself. I mean, you guys know a lot about me, including where all of my moles and birthmarks are, right? Okay. But what you might not know about me is that while I was an entertainer, I didn't like going out in public. I had to get super drunk to be in a big crowd of people. I didn't want to be around people. I loved being alone. I loved being in my house by myself with my family. I'm trying to reach beyond that. It is possible to transform those habits. But yeah, I totally get it. Totally get it. After 30 years, you decided to break up with someone and it was hard, but you did it. I congratulate you, Rodney. That's not easy because 30 years is a lifetime. That is an absolute lifetime. And your identity tends to transform with the longevity of that relationship. And you become a different person in order to be with a person. So I congratulate you. And if there's anything I can do to help you on your new path, I would be happy to do that. Yes, it's Jamal, my brother from another mother. Love you, Jamal, coming from Kensington, Philadelphia, yo! One of my closest friends, you guys. This is Rob. Rob's an Eagles fan in California. He's suffering, y'all. We need to pray for Rob. I'm just messing with you, Rob. I love you, man. You're awesome. Go birds. Go birds. Oh, yo, it's Ivan. Oh, you guys, I want to introduce you to Ivan. Ivan's coming to us from YouTube, even though he's also a group expert in Digging from Darkness, Living in Light. It's a Facebook group of business owners. Ivan is a life coach just as well, just like me. Ivan is a life coach. So if you're more comfortable dealing with a male life coach, no hard feelings. Some people are more comfortable with the same, or opposite sex. Get a hold of Ivan. You can find him or email me and I'll send you his information. Ivan is fantastic with trauma resolution and trauma navigation. He's really, really good. Okay. Ooh, looks like we are here. Represent North Philly. Go Birds. I love you, brother. I love you, man. I love you. Dude, you are one of the most awesome people. Well, it is 5:15 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and my husband is expecting me home in 45 minutes on a Friday night in rush hour traffic because we have reservations for our wedding anniversary. So today is October 21st, 2023. My name is Elizabeth Spraggins. I'm the founder of All Joy Inspired. I wish you all a wonderful weekend. Thank you for watching. I enjoy that you come to see my show, whether you agree or disagree or even understand me at all. Thank you for being here. Thank you for making what I do have a purpose and a value. And I love you all. Please don't drink and drive. I will see you guys next week, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Have a great day, all.